My son bought me a $5 million house to make sure I would never stand in the same room as him again. My name is Arthur. I am 84 years old, and I live in a $5 million tomb in the hills of North Carolina. It has floor-to-ceiling glass windows, heated marble floors, and a view of the sunset that people would kill for. My son, the world-famous cellist, bought it for me. He paid for it in cash. He pays for the gardener, the housekeeper, and the premium cable package I never watch. It is the most expensive restraining order in human history. If you are a parent, I need you to listen to me before the silence in your own house starts to scream. I am not a victim. I am a retired architect who spent 40 years measuring life in straight lines and right angles. And I forgot that a child's heart is a curve that needs to be held, not a structure that needs to be reinforced. I am 84, and the only thing more cold than the marble under my feet is the realization that my son didn't buy me this house to take care of me. He bought it so he would never have to look at me again. He paid $5 million to ensure that the man who broke his spirit would never be within breathing distance of his success. Every night, I sit in this massive designer kitchen. The lighting is perfect. Warm, recessed LEDs that don't buzz like the cheap tubes in our old apartment. Everything here is perfect, and that is the problem. There is no mess. There is no noise. There is only the hum of a refrigerator that costs more than my first car, filled with food I have no appetite to eat. I take my phone, a simple device my son's assistant set up for me, and I place it on the counter. I wait. I wait for a text, a call, a sign that the money wasn't the final payment for my exit from his life. It stays dark. It has stayed dark for 3 years. And I grew up believing that a father's job was to be the anvil. Life was the hammer, and if I didn't make my son hard enough, the world would shatter him. I was a precision man. I took pride in it. When Arthur Jr. was 6 years old, he didn't play with trucks. He hummed. He made music out of the wind hitting the window pane. He saw melodies in the cracks of the sidewalk. To me, that wasn't a gift. It was a distraction. It was soft. I remember the day he found an old battered cello in a neighbor's garage sale. He begged me for it. I told him no. I told him music was for people who didn't want to work. I told him that life was built on steel and concrete, not vibrations in the air. But his mother, God rest her soul, bought it for him anyway with money she'd saved from the groceries. I didn't stop him from playing. I did something worse. I became his critic. Every time he pulled that bow across the strings, I was there. I didn't say, "That sounds beautiful, son." I said, "You're flat on the C string." I didn't say, "I love the way you lose yourself in the music." I said, "If you're going to waste your time on this, at least don't be mediocre. Practice until your fingers bleed, or put the damn thing away." I thought I was giving him discipline. I thought I was giving him the edge he needed to survive. I didn't realize I was turning his sanctuary into a battlefield. I was the person he had to defeat every single day just to feel like he existed. One night he was 16. He was preparing for a regional competition. He played a piece by Bach, something intricate, something that felt like a conversation with God. When he finished, his face was flushed, his eyes bright with the purest joy I had ever seen. He looked at me, waiting. Just once he wanted me to be the father, not the judge. I looked at my watch. The tempo was inconsistent in the second movement, I said, and your posture is slouching. If you play like that in front of the judges, they'll laugh you off the stage. Do it again, 10 more times. The light in his eyes didn't just dim, it went out. It was like watching a candle being snuffed by a cold wind. He didn't say a word. He just reset his bow and started again, and again, and again. I went to bed feeling satisfied. I thought, he'll win because of me. He did win. He won everything. He became a prodigy. He toured the world. His name started appearing on the marquees of the greatest theaters on earth. And as his fame grew, his calls to me became shorter, more professional, like he was checking a task off a list. That I'm in Paris, Dad. The concert went well. The reviews are good. Hope you're fine. Click. That I told myself he was just busy. I told myself that successful men don't have time for sentimental chatter. I was still proud of my quote-unquote handiwork. I took credit for his greatness in front of my friends at the club. I made him what he is, I'd say, sipping my scotch. I didn't let him get soft. Then, 3 years ago, I had a minor heart scare. I was 81. I called him. For the first time in my life, I was scared, and I wanted my son. I wanted the boy who used to hum at the window. He didn't come to the hospital. His lawyer did. A man in a $3,000 suit sat at the end of my bed and opened a leather briefcase. He handed me a deed to this house. Mr. Arthur, the lawyer said, his voice devoid of emotion, your son has purchased a property for you in the mountains. It is fully staffed. All your medical needs, your living expenses, and your comfort will be taken care of for the rest of your life. There is only one condition. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the hospital's air conditioning. What condition? He asks that you do not contact him. He has spent 30 years trying to drown out your voice so he could finally hear the music. He said he has paid his debt to you for the discipline you gave him. This house is the final payment. He wishes you a long and comfortable life, but he wishes it elsewhere. I moved into this house a month later. I walked through the rooms, touching the expensive wallpaper and the hand-carved furniture. I looked at the cello recordings he sends me every time he releases a new album, sent by his assistant, of course. I play them on the world-class sound system he installed, and that's when I heard it. I sat here in the middle of this $5 million silence, and I listened to my son play. I listened to the way he pours his soul into the strings, and for the first time, without my pride to blind me, I heard the truth. His music is beautiful. Yes, it is technically perfect, but underneath the melody, there is a scream. There is a deep, agonizing loneliness. There is a coldness that mirrors the coldness I gave him. He isn't playing for the world. He is playing to fill the hole I dug in his chest when he was 6 years old. I am 84 years old, and I have everything a man could want. I have security. I have luxury. I have a view of the mountains that looks like a painting, and I would trade it all every square inch of this marble, every cent in the bank, just to go back to that cramped, noisy apartment and tell a 7-year-old boy that his drawing of a tree was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. But I can't. The door is locked. The bill has been paid in full. If you are a parent and you think your toughness is a gift, you are lying to yourself. You are not preparing them for the world. You are preparing them for a life without you. You are teaching them that love is a transaction, that perfection is the only way to be seen, and that you are a person who must be escaped. Don't wait until you're sitting in a house bought with the currency of your child's resentment. Put down the criticism. Put down the practicality. Just for a moment, let them be wrong. Let them be messy. Let them be soft. Because the edge you're giving them today will be the blade they use to cut you out of their life tomorrow. I charge my phone every night, not because I expect him to call. I know he won't. I charge it because it's the only thing in this house that still expects something from me. The sun is setting now. The mountains are turning purple. It's a beautiful view. It's the most beautiful view in the world, and I am the only one here to see it. I did this. I built this. I measured the lines. I checked the angles, and I made sure everything was perfect. God help me, it's perfect. I live in a house built by my son's success, yet we haven't spoken in years. If you could send one anonymous message of encouragement to your child right now, without any buts or corrections, what would it be? Write it in the comments. Don't let your pride buy your loneliness.